Welcome to this episode of the Gunman. In this video I'll be taking you through the steps of paintwork on this Ford Territory. The colour code is ZQ and the name of the colour is Zest Metallic. Pretty nice colour. I'm doing it in Standox Basecoat Solvent base. So you can see all the prep work on this job's already been done. If you'd like to see some other vids including prep work, prime work, seam sealer work, colour matching work, I've got videos relating to all of those different categories. I try to change it up so not all just the same sort of videos. So this is our first coat of base coat. As you saw originally, I was wiping it down with that tack cloth, that yellow rag I had in my hand. That takes over and it removes any dust and lint that may be left behind from when you were wiping it down with the wax and grease removing solvent. So after that, this is my first coat of base coat. I'm putting it on nice and wet just to start getting some coverage up over the primed areas. It turns out that somehow, I don't know how, but I missed out on the second coat of base coat. Maybe I thought that I was recording and I must have forgot to press record on it, so it's alright. We've got the first coat of base coat, the blend coat of base coat, and we've also got all of our clear coats. So you can see already that the cover covers up quite well. This is only the first coat here and it's pretty much covered it straight up. I did then put another second coat on and then an effect coat over the top, which you'll see me do just after this. So once we've got this coat on, we'll go out to the door. Just put our first coat just over the back edge because this door is just simply just for a blend, so missed out that second coat. And now what I'm doing here, this is blending clear. This is just clear coat of base coat, which I'll put over the areas that my base coat colour is not going, and then I'll blend into that wet coat, and that'll aid the blend so that you can't see any patchy areas, which you can sometimes get on these light metallic and pearl colours. If it was a dark colour, black, dark blue, any dark colour, you wouldn't really need to do it, but sometimes these light colours can end up going blotchy and patchy and modelly. So you can see it actually looks a little bit blotchy there, but you wait for that to dry down, don't panic, don't try just putting more coats on, it's going to make it look worse. We'll give you a quick look at that after that's dried down without even touching it, and it will dry down a lot nicer. So now we're just putting our effect coat over the quarter panel and the rest of our panels. You can see this effect coat, got their pressure up nice and high, 2 bar of pressure, going nice and quick. You don't want it on too wet. You get it on too wet, you're going to end up with the metallic's not going to be standing up, it's going to blotch up a little bit and the effect won't look quite nice the way that you want it to. So I'm going over doing all these mouldings as well. I've actually got the video of colour matching this. I just uploaded it this morning, and I uploaded another video on the seam sealer on the inside of that quarter panel. That's a good little trick I've got to replicate the factory seam sealers. So usually I try not to blend bumper bars, but this colour was just one of those colours. It was just a touch out, but it was still good enough to blend, so I'm putting that blending clear over that edge of the bumper bar as well, and I've actually then decided to blend the colour out over that bar, so as we're not going to see any colour difference. You'll actually find on a lot of these brand new cars that the bumper bars are actually a slightly different colour anyway, so I've matched my colour to the body, and the bumper bars are a tad out, so you try telling the customer that, basically. They get their car back, and they get their car back at a 95% colour match. It was probably at a 90% before, but they don't remember that. They only remember what you've done, so you've got to make sure that what you do is right. So we always take the measures to ensure that we get the best job possible. So this is a quick look over it after the base coat's on. We'll take note of this door where we blended over that door. It was a touch mottly. You can see a bit of difference in the colour, but now that we've let that dry right down, it actually looks quite nice. So onto our clear coat now. So some of my videos, you guys see me spraying with a HVLP Air Cap, which is what I'm using now, and you guys can just see me laying it on real heavy and getting nice wet finishes. And I've had some guys asking me lately, how come you don't get runs when you put it on so heavy? I'm using the HVLP, and they tell me that they're in cold environments, 20 degrees type thing, and they're trying to paint the way I paint. That's just not going to work. So I just thought I'd cover a few things now, so that we can hopefully answer a few questions. I've actually wound the fluid in a touch on this car, because if it was a European car, they get the like Mercedes, Benz, BMWs, Audis, Volkswagens, all of those kind of cars. They've got a really nice thick orange peel on them, which you would want to use the HVLP cap on. Whereas this one, you'd want to wind your fluid in if you're using high volume, low pressure. You could alternatively put your different air cap on just to the reduced pressure air cap, which doesn't put on quite the amount of volume of paint. So if you're to use a high volume, low pressure gun, the first part of that is high volume. So you're really putting a lot of paint on the panel, and this is part of the reason why it's so easy to get runs with these guns. A few tips: if you only have a HVLP gun and you don't have the option to change back over and you're using cold environments, just go really close and really quick. You can get exactly the same finish while using so many different setups just by altering the way that you paint. So you get the gun nice and close and you move really quick, and you can get the exact same finish with a HVLP as what you can get with a Transtech. Also, if you're trying to paint in cold environments, thin the paint down 10% with a fast reducer. Make sure you use a fast hardener. Do everything you can to preheat the panels. I get some guys and they're painting in their sheds, in their garage. So if you can, get a heater, get a heat gun or something. If you're doing just a couple of panels, spend a couple of minutes on your panel before you start painting, and get some warmth into that panel to stop it from running. You've just got to obviously be careful if you're using a heat gun, well then that's going to blow all the dust that's coming from the environment onto the panel. So you may just want to tack rag before you clear coat. I wouldn't recommend heat gunning in between coats of clear, because as I said, that dust is just going to accumulate and come out of the heat gun. So just try to preheat the panels is probably some good advice there. Speed your clear up and speed the application of the paint up, and probably stick away from the high volume, low pressure guns. I actually have a part-time job, whereas I go up to the airport after hours and on the weekends sometimes, and we'll go up and spray paint aeroplanes for an aviation company. And when I spray paint those airplanes, we're painting in an open workshop environment. Obviously there's no spray booths that are big enough to fit airplanes into. So I just take my HVLP Air Cap off and I use the Transtech cap on the DeVilbiss GTI Pro. I'll wind the fluid in. I'll get the fluid into about 2.5 turns out, so you wind it right in and then go to 2.5 turns out. So this is my second coat of clear on this job. We've given about 5 minutes in between coats. There's actually a tack test that you can do. There's basically 3 stages of dryness. So you'll go to a bit of the masking next to your paintwork that you've done to one of your panels, and you can do the tack test by placing your finger onto the masking next to it. If your finger moves around, obviously it's still wet. If you pull the masking up and you're getting a stringy connection, you can see the paint peeling up in between your fingers. That's nearly there, that's halfway there. And then once you actually put your finger on it and your finger will actually start pulling the masking paper or masking tape and plastic up, well then that's when you know that it's tacked off correctly and it's right for you to put your next coat on. So with our second coat, yeah, so we're going on a little bit wetter than our first coat. You just got to be careful not to go too wet. Obviously you'll get runs too dry and then you're just going to end up having to polish it all up. So if you are getting problems with runs, thinning it out 10% is pretty important. thinning your clears out 10% or your colour. Because basically with 2-pack paints, the way that they dry is with the chemical reaction of the hardener into the clear. Now, the reaction of the hardener is slower than the reaction of the thinners. The thinners actually evaporates out, so the thinners evaporating out will actually speed up the drying process of the clear. So that will actually also help stopping getting runs. So yeah, pretty cool color, this one. Zest Metallic ZQ, as I mentioned earlier. So we've got some footage of the car once it's out the front, once it's been cleaned up as well. You're more than welcome to check me out on Facebook, post some pics of, if you are having issues, post some pics up of your own jobs on my Facebook page. There's a link down there in the comments box. Make comments, share your thoughts. I'll do my best to answer all questions I can. I'm pretty busy, as I said. I'm having a second job, so I won't always be able to get back to you immediately, but once I get the chance I will try to. So this is a DeVilbiss GTI Pro HVLP Air Cap on it, which is my gun you'll see me using most of the time. We've got a new gun on the way from my paint rep. Next week or the week after I'll be getting that. They're going to drop it into me for a couple of days and I'll be able to do some reviews and demos on that. It's a brand new NSI water, so I don't even know what make or model it is yet, but when that comes in we'll be able to check that out, so I'm looking forward to that. We've also got a couple of other vids. I've got the Starterjet RP and also another review and demo on this DeVilbiss GTI Pro at the end of this vid. You can click on those links. I've got some other NSI Water W400 vids. This is my 72nd upload, so plenty of vids, and I upload a couple each week as I get the time. So this is the car once it's out being detailed. It's already been polished up, the badges have been put back on, all the moulds and the panels are back together. So here's some footage of it once it's out the front, looking all nice. Customer would be happy to have their car back. So thanks again for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.